Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military with Summary channel, and in this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. So we can say that it has begun. The President of the United States of America this morning announced the military operation against Iran. Let's discuss everything in details. The President of the United States of America called on the IRGC to lay down arms and for Iranians to rise up and overthrow their government. He also stated that the US plans to destroy Iran's fleet and missile program and ensure security from Iranian proxies in the region. Another important thing, the President of the United States of America emphasized that the US has begun a large-scale military operation in Iran to eliminate the threat from the Iranian government and to protect the American people. According to information we have, this military operation has the title of Operation Epic Fury. That was stated by the Department of War of the United States of America. And of course, during the morning we were receiving lots of updates and videos from the capital of Iran, from the city of Tehran. Lots of videos were published from this city, and most of them pictures and videos, and most of them were just about one thing: how the coalition of the United States of America and Israel were attacking the capital of Iran, the city of Tehran, with a significant number of missiles and bombs. In these pictures we can see the consequences of attack. We can see smoke rising over the city of Tehran. So this is one of the first videos that were published this morning. Here we can see people that were most likely surprised by these attacks, and probably the civilians didn't expect that these attacks will start this morning. In this video we can see another strike that was carried out by the coalition of the United States of America and Israel. Here we can see rockets hit Donetsk Avenue and the Zaporozhye area, smoking rising over Pastur area. Another important video is this one. Here we can see the consequences of attack from a very close position. We can see civilians that they don't understand what was happening this morning in Tehran on the 28th of February of 2026. According to information we have, the confirmed targets include Iran's Ministry of Intelligence, Ministry of Defense, Office of the Supreme Leader, Iranian Atomic Energy Agency, and the military base in Parsin. Reports indicate a high number of casualties among IRGC personnel. Furthermore, we received lots of videos and updates that the Iranians were trying to improve their positions in the sky. There were several videos published with the Iranian aircraft flying above the capital of Iran, Tehran. Here we can see MiG-29 that most likely the Iranians were planning to use as air defense forces. But one thing is clear, that this morning, as in 2025, during the summer of 2025, we see complete collapse and complete failure of the Iranian air defense forces. And of course, during the morning we were receiving lots of attacks that were carried out first of all by the Israeli and by the US aircrafts, and of course the missiles were approaching. And during the morning we received lots of videos of how the missiles of Tomahawk missiles of the United States of America were flying in the direction of Iran. And telling the truth, I haven't seen nothing like this, anything like this, probably for many years. You know that we follow the special military operation and the conflict in Ukraine, but I haven't seen anything like this since the beginning of the conflict in Ukraine. Just in this video we can see dozens, maybe even hundreds of missiles, of Tomahawk missiles that were flying in the direction of Iran, and nothing like this we've seen during the conflict on the territory of Ukraine. So most likely these are the same missiles. We have another video, but most likely these are the same missiles, but from another part of Iraq. Here we can see once again most likely those dozens or hundreds of missiles flying in the direction of Iran. So all these things were reported this morning, let's say according to Israel and according to Iranian time. And as of the moment when I started making this video, the missiles haven't reached the targets, or the first missiles have just reached, and first explosions and information about first explosions was published. Another video with Tomahawk missiles were published from the northern direction. Also the sources stated that cruise missiles are entering Iran also from the north. Once again, hundreds of missiles the coalition used during the morning of the 28th of February of 2026, and most likely these are not the last waves. Most likely we'll see more. And once again, as I told you right before I started making this video, we received first updates that the missiles missiles, the cruise missiles, began flying over the city of Tehran, the capital of Iran. So which means that the missiles are about to get the target and are about to deal significant damage. The consequences of this morning attack we will discuss in the next video. We will get obviously additional information. Most likely we will receive updates about the situation with the Iranians, with their officials. We will understand whether the Iranians, after this wave attack, is able to strike back, or that's it, or this is like let's say the beginning and the end of this let's say limited military operation. And furthermore, I would like to point to attention that the main purpose of this military operation is not to reduce Iran till ruins. We need to understand that the United States of America and Israel are trying to force people to raise and overthrow the current regime in Iran. So this is the main purpose. Nobody wants to destroy Iran. As I understand, the United States of America is trying to support riots and people of Iran with the purpose to force them to raise. So anyway, let's wait and see what is going to be next. But I would like to remind you that before the beginning of this military operation, the United States of America managed to concentrate significant number of forces in the Middle East, two air carriers groups, strike air carriers groups, lots of aircraft. The joint force consists of over 500 combat aircrafts, including F-35s, F-15s, F-16s, as well as support aircraft such as tankers, AWACS, and reconnaissance planes. So this is the biggest group of forces for many years that we can see in the Middle East, and obviously this operation will continue. Anyway, now let's wait and see what is going to be next. Now let's go to Ukraine. During the previous 12 hours, lots of interesting updates were also recorded. This morning, pro-Ukrainian sources published this video, and here we can see how Ukrainians were launching their missile, FP-7 ballistic missile, in the direction of the Russian Federation. These are the missiles that the Ukrainians used to attack deep inside of the territory of the Russian Federation, and these missiles managed to deal significant damage to the industrial complex of the Russian Federation during the previous days. I would like to remind you that a big object of oil infrastructure was damaged by these missiles, and I would like to remind you that with these missiles the Ukrainians attacked the military plant that the Russians used to produce Iskander missiles and the ballistic missiles of different types. As for the Russian side, during the previous night, according to information we have, the Russians launched a massive drone attack through the entire territory of Ukraine, and the Ukrainian sources reported that 106 drones were recorded during the night, over the night, and they managed to bring down 96. So as you can see, maybe 90% of the drones were destroyed by the armed forces of Ukraine. As for the situation on the ground, according to information we have, during the previous night we received lots of changes. First, let's talk about the Zaporozhye direction, where the Russians continue their offensive operation. According to information we have, the Russians during the previous 24 hours managed to improve their position significantly to the south of the settlement of Verkhnya Tersa. So these are the changes on the ground between the dates. This is the end of the 25th of February of 2026, and this is, for example, the morning of the 28th of February. As you can see, the Russians improved their positions in the Ishpoki to the south of Zaliznichne, between the settlements of Zaliznichne and Mirne. The Russians are trying to maintain their positions and to establish complete control over these logistic lines before moving further in the direction of the city by the name of Gulyai-Polskaya. And also, right before we started making this video, pro-Russian sources published a video that confirms that as a result of offensive operation, the armed forces of the Russian Federation managed to establish complete control over the settlement by the name of Gorka. So before the next video we will also adjust the map and we will color this territory something like this. So the Russians are taking in pincers the two settlements in this area, Verkhnya Tersa and Vozdvizhivka. During the previous week the Russians stated that they managed to establish complete control over the settlement of Rizdvyanka. Today the Russians reported that they captured the settlement of Hirke, which means that these two villages were caught by the Russians in pincers, and now the major battle for the eastern flank of the Zaporozhye defenses have begun. Let's wait and see what is going to be next, but this is the most important and the vital battle both for the Russians and for the Ukrainians, and the results of this battle open the way towards the cities of Orekhov and Zaporozhye itself. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Konstantinovka direction. During the previous 12 hours, additional changes were recorded to the east of the city. The video was published by pro-Ukrainian sources, and during this video we might see how Ukrainians were attacking Russian positions in this area. We will not watch this video due to violence, but we see the changes. So the Russians began approaching the city of Konstantinovka from the east, trying to improve their positions and to cut this pocket as well. As you can see, there is a very strong but very powerful defense network of the fortifications, and the Russians are tasked to establish complete control over the territory. Furthermore, pro-Ukrainian sources published a lot of videos of how they were destroying and bringing down the Russian reconnaissance drones to the east of the settlement of Drushkovka. So as you can see, the Russians are probably trying to understand the status and the exact situation in this area. Maybe the Russians are planning to attack in the direction of Drushkovka, for example, trying to outflank the cities of Alexeyevka, Drushkovka and Konstantinovka from the north, because if the Russians are able to launch a fast lightning attack in the direction of the eastern part of Drushkovka, of course this can lead to complete collapse of the inside defense of the cities of Konstantinovka and Alexeyevka, Drushkovka itself. So everything is possible in this area, and the Russian activity in this region is very interesting. Now let's move further in the direction of the settlement of Drobyshevo on the Liman direction. I would like to remind you that yesterday pro-Russian sources published this video where we can see the flag, the Russian flag, raised in the central part of the city. Yesterday we decided not to adjust the map in the city because it's very difficult to understand who exactly established the flag, either the drone or the soldier or any soldier of the armed force of the Russian Federation. But this morning pro-Ukrainian sources adjusted their maps, showing that this territory is under complete Russian control. So we will color this territory as a contested area because we want to see more proofs, because you know something similar happens in the Zaporozhye direction in the area of the village of Nestyryanka. Pro-Ukrainian sources published this video where we can see how a Ukrainian drone was flying above the settlement and how a Ukrainian drone was trying to install the Ukrainian flag above some facility, above some constructions. So here we can see the moment how Ukrainians dropped the Ukrainian flag on this building, and of course based on this video we're not going to adjust the map. So something similar could happen in the area of the settlement of Drushkovka, so that is why as of now it's better to wait and see. Another important area is the northern direction. According to information we have, during the previous nights, the armed forces of the Russian Federation managed to establish complete control over the settlement by the name of Neskuchne. These are the changes on the ground between the dates. The Russians, according to information we have, and according to the Minister of Defense, and according to the group of forces north, established complete control over the territory, and the Russians are keeping advancing further in the southern direction with the purpose to establish complete control over the settlement by the name of Veselye. So the Russians on this front line are tasked to take under complete control the settlement of Veselye. If the Russians are able to do this, this will allow the Russians to cut the monolith of Ukraine's defense in this area at least into two several pieces, and then the Russians will handle with every single piece separately, with this forest to the east of the settlements of Veselye, Neskuchne, and with the settlement by the name of Liptsi, which also will be encircled or semi-encircled by Russians from this configuration of the map. And that's it for the short video. The Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching, subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.